Imagine this for a moment. You're standing at the very top of the world. You're one of the most recognized faces on the planet. People cheer your name, they dress like your characters, they quote your lines as if they were their own. You've built a career that most people would give anything to have. You're a symbol of success, a household name, a superstar. But instead of feeling celebrated, instead of feeling respected, you feel like the world is laughing at you. And not in a kind, supportive way. In a cruel way. Johnny Depp once put this feeling into a single, devastating line, "Life's a joke, and I'm the punchline." When you hear that, it hits hard. Because this isn't a fictional line from one of his films. This isn't Captain Jack Sparrow cracking a joke. This is Johnny, the real man behind all the characters, speaking from a place of exhaustion, pain, and maybe even dark humor. He wasn't saying it to get a laugh. He was saying it because that's how life felt for him at that moment. Think about that. How does someone who seemed to have it all, fame, fortune, artistry, reach a point where they believe their existence has become a joke to others? How do you go from being one of Hollywood's most admired figures to feeling like you're just the punchline in someone else's story? That's not just sad. That's haunting. And it's something most of us, in some way, can relate to. Maybe not on the scale of global fame, but in smaller, more personal ways. We've all had moments where we felt misunderstood. Where people didn't see the real us. Where mistakes or rumors defined us more than our truth did. For Johnny, that line was a confession. A brutally honest reflection of what it means to live in the spotlight where every move is magnified, every flaw exaggerated, every fall turned into public entertainment. Because fame has two sides. On one side, it gives you the kind of life most people only dream about. But on the other, it steals something far more valuable. Your privacy. Your peace. Sometimes even your dignity. Johnny's career is proof of this paradox. On one hand, he built characters that will never be forgotten. Edward Scissorhands. Captain Jack Sparrow. The Mad Hatter. Roles that weren't just performances, but cultural landmarks. He became known for being unpredictable, unique, and bold. He wasn't the typical leading man. He was the oddball who turned weirdness into brilliance. And that made people fall in love with him. But then came the shadow side of that fame. For years, tabloids loved to make him their favorite target. His eccentric style, his personal life, his relationships, his struggles, all turned into headlines. And when scandals exploded, when courtrooms became stages, when every detail of his private battles was dissected online, he wasn't seen as an artist anymore. He wasn't seen as a father, or a musician, or even as Johnny. He was reduced to a joke. The world decided he wasn't a hero, he was a punchline. That's the weight behind his words. When he said, "Life's a joke, and I'm the punchline," he was acknowledging the cruel reality of being a public figure. He knew exactly how people saw him. He knew he'd become easy fodder for late-night talk shows, for memes, for gossip articles that cared more about clicks than about truth. It was painful honesty, but it was also strangely empowering. Because in admitting it, he took control of it. That's what makes this so interesting. On the surface, it sounds like despair. Like giving up. But if you look closer, it also sounds like defiance. By calling himself the punchline, Johnny was reclaiming the joke. He was saying, "Fine. If this is the role you've given me, then I'll play it. But I'll play it on my own terms." That's not weakness. That's survival. And isn't that something we all need sometimes? To stop running from how others see us and instead say, "Yes, I see it too. But you don't get to define me with it." That's what Johnny did. He leaned into it. Because sometimes, the only way to stop the laughter from breaking you is to laugh with it. But let's dig deeper, because there's more here than just one man's confession. This moment exposed a bigger truth about Hollywood, and about life itself. Hollywood loves to sell the myth that fame is a shield. That once you're a superstar, nothing can touch you. But Johnny's story shows the opposite. Fame doesn't protect you. It exposes you. It magnifies everything, the good and the bad. It turns your flaws into front-page news and your pain into entertainment. And when the world decides you're the villain, no amount of awards or achievements can save you. Yet, in a strange way, that's what makes Johnny's words so powerful. Because instead of hiding, instead of pretending everything was fine, he admitted the truth. He didn't try to put on a fake smile. He didn't act invincible. He broke character. He reminded the world that behind the costumes and the cameras, he's human. And sometimes, being human means being hurt. Being human means feeling like the world is laughing at you. Now, here's where it gets personal. Haven't you ever felt like the punchline in your own life? Maybe at school, when you were teased. Maybe at work, when everyone noticed your mistake. Maybe in your family, when you felt like the odd one out. That's why Johnny's words hit so hard. Because they weren't just about him. They were about all of us. They were a mirror. But here's the twist, his statement wasn't just about despair. It was also about resilience. Because calling yourself the punchline isn't giving up. It's acknowledging reality and then refusing to let it destroy you. It's saying, yes, laugh if you must. But I'm still here. I'm still standing. And I'm not done yet. That's strength in disguise. That's survival dressed as humor. Think about comedians. Many of the funniest people you know carry the deepest pain. They make jokes about their struggles, their failures, their heartbreaks. Not because it doesn't hurt, but because humor is how they cope. It's how they take back control. Johnny did the same thing. By turning his pain into a punchline, he was using humor as armor. And in doing that, he transformed what could have been pure humiliation into a strange kind of power. That's a lesson we can all learn. Life will knock you down. People will laugh. But you decide whether that laughter destroys you or fuels you. If you own the joke, you own the power. And once you own it, nobody can use it against you. So when Johnny said those words, he wasn't just talking about Hollywood. He was talking about survival. About what it means to endure when the world tries to tear you apart. About what it means to stand tall when your flaws are on display. And here's something even deeper. The punchline isn't the end of the joke, it's just the twist. Maybe Johnny's confession wasn't about being defeated at all. Maybe it was about taking control of the narrative. If life insists on making him the punchline, then he's going to deliver that punchline with his own voice, his own timing, his own spin. That's not failure. That's empowerment. And that's why his words will be remembered. Not because they were sad, but because they were real. And in that honesty, there's a strange kind of hope. Hope that even in your lowest moments, you can still choose how to respond. Hope that even when the world laughs, you can laugh too, and keep walking. So yes, Johnny Depp called himself the punchline. But maybe that's what makes him stronger. Because instead of hiding, instead of pretending, he owned it. And by owning it, he turned pain into resilience. He turned shame into survival. He turned a cruel joke into a confession that resonated with millions. And maybe that's the message we should all take with us. Life can feel like a joke sometimes. People might laugh at us. But being the punchline doesn't mean it's over. It just means the story has taken a twist. And if we can survive the laughter, if we can stand tall in spite of it, then maybe we win in the end. So, what do you think? Was Johnny's confession a moment of weakness, or was it his way of showing strength? Maybe it was both. Maybe it was a little despair mixed with defiance. But whatever it was unforgettable. And it reminded us that even the biggest stars are still human. And that's why this moment shook Hollywood. Because in a town built on illusions, Johnny Depp told the truth. And that truth was both painful and powerful.